Recently, former supermodel Naomi Campbell tweeted or talked about her thoughts about Black History Month. Now, we're in this month right now. It's the shortest month of the year. And Black History Month commemorates the success that African Americans have produced in this country despite the circumstances levied against them, which is an honorable thing. In other countries like the UK, in the Netherlands and Ireland, they celebrate them at different times, but it has been inspired by the Negro or African Americans in the United States. It's a time that we learn about the culture, we learn about our inventors, we learn about all of the people that came before us that assisted African Americans to get to where they are today, and I am grateful to those people who have paved the way for myself. I'm honored. I could never disrespect certain people like that. But Naomi Campbell, who was born in England, and she is British, she says she doesn't feel that Black History Month should be for blacks. Instead, she feels like Black History Month should be for people of all color. And she's catching a lot of slack for this. And by the way, everybody is entitled to their opinion. But when you look at Naomi Campbell and people who talk like this, I always want to know when a person has this particular talking point, what is their dating history, right? And I just feel like that's important. I didn't know her dating history, but then I looked at her past marriages that have failed or relationships. All of these relationships that she's had have been with white men, all right? And I'm not saying that Naomi Campbell doesn't like black people or she doesn't like black men. I mean, maybe she's dated black men in the past, I don't know. But I do know that her more serious relationships have been with Caucasian men. And people who typically want to denigrate things that are set for blacks and include others typically exclude blacks in everything, okay? In particular, their dating lives. Like if you go and you look at a lot of the black conservatives, and I want to talk about them, except for maybe ABL, most black conservatives that support Donald Trump are on Fox News, are Republicans. 90 to 95% of those people that talk down on the black community and expose it and always talk about black people, they don't have black spouses or black wives or black husbands. None of them do. You will find that they would love to talk down on blacks and exclude blacks from everything and denigrate what blacks have built and celebrate and for celebration of what blacks have done, while at the same time they would love to integrate and do everything with people that are not black. Let me get back to this with Naomi Campbell and beefs that people have within the diaspora. Shout out to the brothers that are from the UK. I think blacks in Britain and blacks in the United States, we share many things in common. The fact that we're both living in the Western world, the cultures are somewhat similar, and we can relate to each other. It's not so hard for a British person and African American to relate to one another. The only difference is that most blacks that come to Britain or coming directly, strictly from Africa or from Jamaica or Caribbeans and probably haven't been there for longer than 100 years, while we've been in America for 400 years. But what if an African American was to go and talk about what shouldn't be going on for Britain blacks or blacks in Britain? They should not have this, okay? Now, everybody knows that blacks in Britain from the Caribbean or from Africa, they have contributed to the UK, okay? I don't know the history in exact detail, but I'm sure you have black historians in Britain that will talk about the contributions that blacks have made to this society in the UK. I would never speak on the fact that what Britons or black British shouldn't have to celebrate their success despite the things levied against them. And this is what the problem comes to. This is why when you have blacks who are not African American and they are insensitive to what African Americans have gone through, and you want to speak about something that typically doesn't apply to you, okay? Naomi Campbell is not an African American. She's a black British woman. And whatever success or civil rights she enjoys in America would be because of those ancestors and those blacks that we honor in Black History Month that paved the way or died or did things to propel the movement. Somebody like Naomi Campbell simply, although her opinion is what it is, she simply is not qualified to speak on this, okay? And while she's telling people it should be for all races and people of color, did all races and people of color help blacks in the civil rights movement? Did all races of color and people of color get harassed by the police, be in slavery, and all of these things like African Americans? No. All right? And see, this is the issue. You know, you have a person like Naomi Campbell who was supported by the black community at some point. I'm pretty sure she was in black hip hop videos and things like that. And when you're just so insensitive to the culture of African Americans, it really causes division between blacks. And this is how you get things like ADOS. This proves the point of Tariq Nasheed and FBA. Because when they see something like this, they're going to jump on it. All right. And there are a lot of people that are that are black British, that are black African, that are black Caribbean, that don't feel like that. Okay. They understand that other groups will join in on your successes, but they will exclude you in your failures. You know, people will jump at the opportunity to celebrate you and piggyback off your movement to catapult theirs. And once they get success, they'll forget about you. And that's all blacks have been doing. Blacks in America are known for including everybody into their issues, trying to propel other groups that will then, come into California and certain parts and beat blacks out of areas. And, when blacks were supporting said groups and trying to help other groups, this happens. But other groups don't include blacks. Blacks are always trying to include everybody in their stuff, including people like Naomi Campbell, who's not an African American. Clearly, we got to understand that we cannot continue as a group of African Americans to just say, okay, well, it's Black History Month, so we shouldn't celebrate it for just us. We celebrate it for everybody. People don't do that. Let's look at Cinco de Mayo. Do Hispanics say, well, Cinco de Mayo, we're going to include all groups to celebrate it with us? The Chinese New Year's. Any of these holidays, nobody includes African Americans in those holidays because why? It's for their people. So why should blacks include other people in their holidays just to be, specifically including people of color? Indians, any group, they have their own stuff, their own. They don't need any other group of people in America that are not African American. They don't need to have access to Black History Month. Number one, they're not black. Okay? We don't have access to Chinese New Year or to Cinco de Mayo or anything like that. So it just makes sense to, stop trying to always make blacks give up the little bit that they have for everyone else when you don't ask other people to give up what they have for blacks. Naomi Campbell is not going to do that for Cinco de Mayo. She's not going to say, I don't think that Cinco de Mayo shouldn't be for Hispanics. They should include everybody. She'll never do it. She'll only do it for blacks. And that goes to show her dating history, I believe, proves that. Certain people just don't like blacks that are black. They're trying to fit in with everybody else. I think Naomi Campbell's no different. So guys, that's my take on it. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell, come through, support your boy, and make sure you go to the first comment, get your Black Men Are Perfect t-shirts. Definitely got to get on that. And guys, my Patreon, all my information's at the top. As you know, the buffoonery remains at an all-time high. Your boy is out.